Welcome to our webinar, Don't Let a Hold Hold Them Back, Understanding TSI and Spring Registration. We are excited to have you with us today. My name is Christine Self with Parent and Family Relations, and joining me today is Lorena Williams with Texas Success Initiative, known as TSI. This webinar is part of our Red Raider Family webinar series, where we share information on topics of interest to parents, families, and supporters of our students. We hope this webinar will help you better understand TSI and how your student can manage any TSI holds as they prepare for class registration. We plan to keep the webinar to about 30 minutes or so. I scared you there for a second. If there's time at the end, we will open it up for questions using our Zoom Q&A feature. But feel free to type your questions along the way. We do have some folks behind the scenes who can help answer your questions. We are recording this session and posting it to our website so that you'll be able to review it again later or share it with others. The link to the page where you can access the recording link and the slides will also be included in your follow-up email. So let's begin, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to Lorena.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lorena Williams. I am the TSI Program Director. TSI is a place that can sometimes have misinformation floating around about it. It can sometimes lead to frustrations for families and students. Today, what we hope to do is to clarify any of those misconceptions and also offer a space that you can maybe get your specific questions answered. And what I really love to share is just a small peek into what TSI support looks like here at Texas Tech. One of the biggest misconceptions that I would like to try to clarify is what the TSI assessment serves as. We hear lots of things about, wasn't sure about submitting my TSI because the score wasn't passing or the score wasn't as high as I'd hoped. The TSI test is not used in any way as an admittance test. It's actually written in the piece of legislation that created TSI and that enforces TSI that it is not to be used for admittance. So please encourage your student, if they have not submitted a TSI score, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, to submit the TSI score. If you're a new admit and your student is looking to join us in the spring and they're looking for RRO and they may have a TSI hold, just please encourage them to submit those TSI scores as soon as they can. What it truly lets us know is where is the student maybe struggling in math or reading and how can we help? And mostly if a student needs that additional help. So what I would like to start with is just a little peek of what is TSI at Texas Tech. So who are we? Our instructors are degreed professionals with tons of content specific knowledge. But truly what our massive skill set is driving student success and positive outcomes. An event that was pictured here as something that the university hosts with some departments here in that work with us is a studying around midterms. What we do is we host this massive event, and students can come and receive help from all different services, not just TSI, Writing Center, Learning Center, but we partner with them, and our TSI instructors are actually here for the students. And we take probably 5 hours out of the day, and we meet with students. We meet them where they are. We look at their writings that they're about to submit, or maybe help them study for a test, or look at the homework that's about to be submitted, and truly prepare for what does midterms look like in a collegiate setting. We will also do this, this department will also do this for finals. The final countdown to finals is what that event is called. And it'll take place next Wednesday, November 12th. So if you have a student on campus currently who's sitting in TSI classes, or maybe just wants a little bit of reinforcement heading into any of their finals, please share that event with them. Like I said, our TSI instructors will be there and will help serve. Truly, what we hope to do and what we want to do is support students in the successful completion of their entry-level math and English courses. So TSI coursework is structured to be a guide into entry-level coursework. Um, what we truly do is just work alongside the 4 credits. So for example, if your student is taking Math 1320 and TSI 0320, which would be college algebra, and then the TSI college algebra. The TSI class syllabus and timeline will follow what Math 1320 is showing. As described in the slide, TSI classes does not assign additional homework or additional exams. It is truly just a walking guide so that we are there with the student. I shared a slide here or a picture here of a agenda of TSI coursework. This is specifically for English 1301 and the TSI co-rec with that as TSI 03 or 4. So you can see that the whole goal is to ensure that the project that's being assigned and being worked on for English 1301 is what's happening in the TSI class. Again, not an additional math class, not an additional English class, just truly a support for what's going on in the 4 credit class. Okay, so just a few kind of did you know. So in 2024, 2025, so last academic school year, TSI helped over 2,000 students successfully complete entry-level math classes. What we hear often, especially during summer RROs and the RROs to kick us off, the Red Raider orientations to kick us off for the spring semester, is a little bit of apprehension about taking TSI courses. I'm the only one. I don't think I need this. But we always want to encourage our students that they are not alone in this, not only by the numbers, but then also just the partnerships that they establish and that they will create working with TSI. So as it stands currently, we are projected to help over 2,500 students this academic year successfully complete their English or their math. So that's not those I mean, that's everyone with a D or C or better, helping them push them to the ultimately achieving that successful completion. TSI, we also work to connect students with on-campus resources like the Writing Center, Learning Center, supplemental instructions. That's called SI. It's often referred to as SI if you're talking to your students as a part of TSI coursework. So what we want to do is we really want to build the student up so that even past the TSI class, even into that spring semester, sophomore year, junior year, that they know the resources that they can lean on to complete their coursework, their entire coursework through tech, and know their partnerships and know who to go to if that course is just a little more challenging. While attendance is required, so the course breakdown, we're hearing lots of questions about attendance right now. And how does that directly link to academic success? So attendance is the biggest part of our grading in TSI. We don't add additional homework. We don't assign more exams. What we truly want you to do is come and be present in our classes, engage in the learning process, so that eventually you create habits and build habits that will carry through the entire career here at Texas Tech. So TSI instructors really work to kind of create this environment for students that have strong study skills, problem solving strategies, and really just effective communication. I would tell you probably the number one thing that our students really lean on our TSI instructors on besides the content help is how do I email my professor? How do I ask them something? So we really want to help them feel confident in sending an email and asking for direct help. How do I come to an office hour? Things that will truly carry them for the next 4 to 6 to 8 years in their higher ed journey. So what do students say about TSI? I'm going to give you guys a second just to kind of look over this. I think TSI can sometimes feel very, I guess, mandated and can feel very like, oh, I have to do this. But we find is once students really get into it and really feel the support, not just us describing it and us telling them, but they feel like, well, I really am not spending hours and hours and hours on this math homework confused, or hours and hours on this writing to just have to rewrite it because it didn't match the rubric. Students are feeling empowered and they really enjoy kind of the TSI class and the space it provides in their schedule so that they don't have to do this alone and work on it on maybe on the weekends, or take time away from doing something that they had previously planned, that they can get it done in a set time. So the TSI holds. If you're joining us, it is likely that your student has a TSI hold. I do want to kind of maybe describe the two different TSI holds that you could be seeing on your students. It is very likely that if you're watching this and sharing time with us today, you see the second hold, the TSI coursework hold, and it says something like TSI F25, or it may say S25. Email tsi@ttu.edu. What that hold describes is something from our department, the college readiness department, that just describes and signals to us that this student may need some TSI coursework. Those were lifted last week. It still appears on the student's profile, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the hold is active and that it's preventing them from registering. It's just a holding spot that lets the student know or the parent know there is a hold on this record, but again, it is not active. As you can see, the bold, the third line lifted October 30th through January 6th. We did that timeline to allow for students to create the schedule, even if they were advanced registration, and truly have some time after finals, after being home, to look at their schedule and see, does the schedule that I created in November, as I was, wrapping up midterms and prepping for finals, still serve what I need for my spring semester. January 6th, the hold will be back on and active. But if a student finds on January 7th that I got a job and I'm going to have to work this certain day, so I need to change the schedule, it is not a problem. Email at that TSI dot or TSI at ttu.edu. They can give us a call, they can email us, and we will lift that hold for about 48 hours, 36 or 48 hours, to allow for the student to make a change. Um, the first hold, some of you guys may have TSI hold in that very specific, in all caps, needs, NEEDS, needs. What that signals is more to the compliance office and the registrar's office, that shows that this student is missing TSI scores. Again, TSI scores must be on file for any student who attends a public university or public higher ed place in the state of Texas. So again, non-admittance test, it doesn't disqualify them for anything. All it does is tells a university where support is needed. So if you have a TSI hold needs, your student has an active hold currently that is preventing them from registering. If you see that TSI holds needs, the very last thing, family support, encourage students to schedule and submit TSI scores as soon as possible. What we found in working with some of our TSI students who are in classes currently and who are going to be taking classes with us next semester as well, is they have TSI scores. They just were nervous or maybe apprehensive about submitting them because they weren't sure of the ramifications of submitting something that said not college ready. I can assure you that it is a pretty low stakes submission at this point. What happens, the action plan is if a student is showing not college ready is TSI coursework. They are already in TSI coursework or already planning to take TSI coursework. So it's not an additional action plan that will have to be done if the student submits something as not college ready. So please, please encourage your students to schedule if they haven't taken the TSI test or submit a TSI score as soon as possible. Okay, so TSI holds removal timeline. We do have a handful of students who will be TSI complete after this semester, who still have a hold. on their account that's lifted currently. Again, it's inactive, but it does show that the student has support this semester. And they aren't necessarily going to need it next semester. What will happen with those holds? Because it does take us, our office and the compliance office, and there's about two other offices that work with us in this to verify that a student is now college ready, either through coursework, likely through coursework if they are working with us. It takes a minute to update those records. Like I said, we have roughly 2,000 students who are working with us this semester. So it takes a minute to update all those records. It is very likely that even if your student passed their TSI class, passed their math or English class, that on January 6th, a hold is temporarily placed back on. Again, that is just to give all four offices a chance to update records. After we get the okay, green light, thumbs up, everything is good, all records have been updated, we will then go in what we call expire that hold, and you will no longer see that. But it might take, mid-January to end of January. I just wanted to go ahead and share that information with you guys. So family support on this. Encourage your students to review the schedules prior to January 6th. And even if it's not, it's okay. Email or call the TSI offices if changes are needed after. Okay, so that pretty much concludes us. We're going to stay on for any questions that you guys may have, specific questions. If you need anyone specifically from the TSI College Readiness Department, here is our contact information. Again, I'm Lorena Williams. I am the TSI Program Director. I have a wonderful TSI Program Coordinator whose name is Lindsay Williams. We are always here for you guys. Happy to help in any way we can. If you need us, please reach out to us. Thank you for sharing some time with me this afternoon.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Lorena, for sharing that important information about TSI and holds and how those can impact your student. So we are open for questions. Feel free to type any questions in the Zoom Q&A feature, and we will get those answered for you. I also want to put up on our screen, we do have a survey for you, so please take a moment if you'd like and fill out our very brief survey about how we did today. We also have on our screen contact information for both parent and family relations and TSI if you are sitting there not knowing what to ask right now, but may have questions later. So please do let us know. We do have another webinar coming up next week. It will be on Home for the Holidays. So please review our webinar schedule and join us for any future webinars that you would like to join us. We do have a question here, and Lorena, if you could speak to this, what does the student do to access a TSI test?
That's a great question. So the testing center here at Texas Tech can help them. So whether they are trying to schedule a TSI test or retrieve a process called retrieving TSI scores, they can talk to the testing center. If it's a schedule, go up to the testing center, TTU testing center at West Hall. You can share that with your student, and they can schedule. If the student believes, or if you believe that your student may have TSI scores, they can also request a retrieval. And it is as simple as going to the testing center again at West Hall and asking, can you retrieve my TSI scores? And then the second part of that sentence would be, and send to the registrar's office. If there are scores on file, there is a national database that that the testing center can pull from. But because of privacy legislation, the student does have to give permission to the testing center to retrieve them.
Wonderful.
Great question.
That was a good question. All right. Any other questions that anyone has? All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We will publish the recording of this session on our YouTube channel later today, and we will follow up with an email with all the links that we shared today. as well as that recording this afternoon. So I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you to Lorena and the TSI office and College Ready folks for joining us and sharing this great information. Thank you.